welcome. My name is John Smolinski. I'm a board member of the Saugus Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, its board of directors and members, I'd like to thank you all that are here this evening and those at home watching, participating in our Candidates Night for State Representative. I'd like to thank Representative Wong and Challenger Finn for participating with us and being so cooperative with us this evening. And we hope this will be an evening of information for you and make it worth your while to learn more about each of these candidates and where they stand in some of the various positions. I'd like to give you a little bit of background about what you can expect to see from this evening's event. We're going to have a series of questions that will be asked to each candidate. They will each be given 6 questions that they will answer jointly, the same question. And then much like we did with the Selectmen's meeting, a Selectmen's Candidates Night, we'll have random questions taken from a fishbowl over there that they will each answer separately. Very important, there'll be no questions allowed from the audience. We ask you to be as polite and as courteous to the candidates as possible. If you feel you'd like to acknowledge or clap or applaud a particular answer, that's fine. But we're asking you to respect the candidates and to respect the evening and have no interrupting of the candidates, no negative comments, no harassing of the candidates or other answers or anything in the crowd that would disrupt the decorum of the meeting. So we're hoping to make this a situation that will be very positive for you, positive for the candidates, and beneficial for the community as a whole. Each candidate has received the questions in advance. It's our intent here not to try to surprise a candidate or trip a candidate up, but as constituents, we'd like to think that our candidates can provide well-spoken, well-thought-out answers to tell you where they stand on a particular situation or environment or something that's affecting the community. So the purpose of the questions in advance was to allow them to prepare and look at what they see for these questions to represent within the community. The idea, as I said, is not to surprise them, it's think who can think quickest on their feet and be asked the way to an answer. So that being said, they have the questions and they're well prepared. The night itself shouldn't last more than an hour, hour and 15 minutes, as we intend to keep it moving forward. Before we begin, in a moment, I'll introduce to you our moderator this evening, Mr. Gaffney from the Saugus Advertiser. If you've been in Saugus for any length of time, if you've read Mike or you've seen Mike somewhere among the community, he's very well known and very well respected, and we're very pleased to have him. In a moment, I'm going to turn this over to Mike to conduct tonight's forum. We'll have a little coin toss between the candidates to see who will go first. Challenger Finn will get to call the coin when we make the toss, and we'll take it from there. Any questions, Mr. Finn?
No, thank you.
Mr. Wong, Representative Wong.
Thank you.
All right. With that, Michael, I'll turn it over to you to handle tonight's event.
Okay, thank you, John. I just want to say on behalf of the Saugus Advertiser and Gatehouse Media, it's an honor to be here. I'm invited by the Chamber of Commerce to be the moderator for this event. It's the first time I'm a moderator, so bear with me if I do anything wrong, but I think this is pretty, the Chamber set this up pretty well, pretty self-explanatory. I wish both of the candidates best of luck. I know both of you pretty well over the years, and I'm just hoping for a good exchange of information. And this really helps the advertiser with our role of trying to get information about Saugus out to the community, and best of luck.
Mike, one quick thing, a housekeeping moment before I forget. If you have a cell phone, please turn it off, just so we don't get distracted. And down front, there are timekeepers that will be advising the candidates when they hit the 1 minute left and 30 seconds left in their talking. So it is being timed up front to keep the time moving forward. All right, Mike.
Okay, Chris, we'll let John do the coin toss here.
Tails.
Great.
Tails. Did you want to see John? You trust me?
I trust you.
You could be sure.
You sure it wasn't my coin?
Would you like the first question?
Sure.
Excuse me, is there supposed to be opening statements first?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Each candidate is getting 3 minutes, just so everyone knows, for the opening statements. And they'll also, this forum will end with each candidate having a 3-minute closing statement. Thank you, Donald, for that. Very welcome.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Finn, and I hope to be your next state representative. I was born and raised here in Saugus. I attended our public public school system here. When I graduated from Saugus High School, I went on to Salem State College, where I earned my degree in criminal justice. After Salem State, I went on to law school at Suffolk University Law School in Boston, where I earned my law degree with a concentration in business law and financial services. Today, I'm an attorney, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and a public servant. I've served on Saugus's Affordable Housing Trust, where I had the pleasure of drafting a bylaw where we had an issue of vacant, dilapidated properties, and this bylaw aimed at regulating those properties. They're sources of blight in our community, drugs in our community. That bylaw was passed unanimously by our town meeting, and I'm very proud of that. I've served as an alternate on our zoning board of appeals here in Saugus, and I'm also an elected town meeting member for Precinct 9. I got involved in this race because I think I can do better for Saugus. I think I can do better for our district, and I hope to do that by going to the State House, fighting for important things like equal pay for equal work, fighting for hardworking families and workers, and trying to make Saugus a better place. So I hope on November 4th, you'll consider voting for me as your next state representative. Thank you.
Donald?
Good evening. I would like to thank the Saugus Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's forum. I would also like to thank Mr. Gaffney and the viewers here and the ones that are at home watching. For nearly half a century, Saugus has been a big part of my life. The Common Restaurant has been a family business for 3 generations, 64 years, where I have learned what hard work is all about. My years of business experience has helped me in working with many residents in serving Lynn, Saugus, Wakefield. My involvement in local politics, both as a town meeting member and as a selectman chair for 2 terms, has taught me how to get things done. My appointment to the Ways and Means for 2 terms, I have traveled throughout the Commonwealth, and I have been here to hear the concern of citizens of Massachusetts and the people of my district. Some of my accomplishments have been, in Lynn, I have worked hard for Union Hospital, where I was the first elected official to step up and write a letter to the Attorney General asking her to re-examine the policies changes that partners would like to have at Union Hospital that would affect our residents. Due to the effort of many, including myself, the proposal has been put on hold, and the parties involved are now talking, and there'll be a hearing scheduled in the near future. In Saugus, I have brought $2 million to fix new water and sewer pipes on Route 1, $30,000 for early childcare, $30,000 to have new classes in robotics, $15,000 in rehabbing a tennis court, and of course, $10 million for the middle school renovation in conjunction with the MSBA. And don't forget the high school fence on Route 1. Also in Wakefield, I have worked with the manager to secure $1 million from the transportation bond bill to help them redevelop Main Street. I have lived in Saugus for 39 years. I'm married. I have 1 daughter, 2 sons, and 4 granddaughters. It's been an honor to work with the district, and these are the facts. They speak for themselves. If you like what I have accomplished, please, I ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Okay, for the candidates and for everyone watching in attendance, I think how I'm going to do this is I'm going to ask each of the candidates, I'm going to pick from the bowl and ask each of them 3 questions, which only they get to respond to. Then I'm going to go to a list of 6 questions, which each of the candidates get to respond to. And then I'm going to finish it up with 3 more that I'm going to pick from the bowl. Just so for the first 6 questions, each candidate gets to answer it individually. So I have been premature. I picked up the first question, and this one I believe is for Chris. Chris, ballot question number 1 would repeal the 2013 law indexing future gas tax increases to the consumer price index or the rate of inflation. Do you support the repeal, and why?
Thank you, Mike, for the question. No, I don't support the repeal. I think this gas tax hadn't been increased since 1991, and our gas tax is falling behind it. This is something that funds transportation projects that Saugus desperately needs. Route 1 needs improvement. I don't think there's anyone in Saugus who would disagree with me on that. And this is going to generate significant sums of money over the next few years, and that money can be used to improve Route 1. The road is falling apart, the bridges are falling apart. Route 1 needs to be expanded. We have an unnecessary bottleneck over in Revere. There's no reason for that. It's a constant source of headache for anyone commuting early in the morning or coming home at night. And it's only going to get worse now that we have a casino coming in Everett. Something needs to be done. We need an advocate at the State House who's going to stand up and fight for state funding to improve our roads so that when this casino comes in, what's already a headache doesn't get worse. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Donald, your question is question number 18. What is your view on how communities in the district have handled zoning for potential marijuana dispensaries? What is your overall view on regulating medical marijuana? Would you be in favor of a blanket legalization of the drug?
I would not be in favor of a blanket for marijuana. I really think that if it's approved, which I think it should be used, it should be distributed in the pharmacies. That's the main thing. All prescriptions are distributed in the pharmacies, and I think marijuana should also be there. But I should also think that it should only be used for medical purposes.
Thank you. Chris, you have question number 15. What do you feel will be the biggest hurdle for our state delegation in the upcoming term? How specifically would you plan on overcoming that?
Thanks again for the question. I think our state delegation's facing a daunting task dealing with unfunded pension liabilities and other post-employment benefits for our state workers and our local elected officials and our local workers. This is something that right now we're not going to be able to afford into the future to pay for these benefits that we promised these people. It's something our state needs to address now by working on saving funds so that we can pay for their medical insurance, that we can fund these pension liabilities, and that we can make sure that we can stick to our word and provide the benefits that we've offered. And I think that's going to be a tough task for the state delegation. It's going to take someone to stand up and say, we can't wait any longer with this. This is a debt that's going to just continue to grow. It needs to be addressed now. And I think if you elect me to the State House, I'll go up there and I'll work on saving some funds, putting policies in place so that we can address this issue that's definitely going to be coming down the road in the near future. It can't be put off any longer, and our state delegation needs to stand up for it now. Thank you.
Donald, the next question is yours. This is number 10. Ballot question number 2 would expand the state's bottle recycling deposit credit to all non-alcoholic beverages. Do you support this change? Why?
I do not support the bottle bill. The reason why is the bottle bill was put into effect way before recycling. Now that we have recycling, it's we have to remember on curbside recycling, the town does make money from that. The other thing is 5 cents on juice bottles and water bottles. We have to think of the kids and the economy. We look at lunch programs. That means every single juice bottle, water bottle will have 5 cents. That's a cost of living. Another thing is when you go play sports, you're bringing sports bottle, and that's another 5 cents. It adds up. Not only that, we have collected so much money under the 5 cents deposit. We have over $30 billion that has not been collected by the people who have put the deposit down. I really think that it's another tax, and that's what we want to stay away from, another tax, where curbside recycling again was put there after, curbside recycling, the town is making money, and I think that's where we should be.
The next question goes to Chris. This is question number 12. Ballot question number 4 would require employers, including small business owners, to offer paid sick time to their employees. Do you support this, and why?
Thank you, and just quickly as a point of correction regarding question number 4, there seems to be a misconception about what it's actually asking. It's not requiring that all employers, including the smallest business owners, mom and pop shops, offer paid sick leave, earned paid sick leave. For employers, small employers with 10 or less employees, you're given the option to provide unpaid sick leave. So one of the important things about this, I do support earned sick time. I guess I'll say that quickly. But one of the important things about it is it's not just about providing payment for these people who may need to miss work to care for themselves, care for a loved one. It's about job security. This is something that even within a small business environment, if someone has to miss work to care for a sick spouse or a sick child, they don't have to make a decision between staying home and caring for that sick loved one and going to work for fear of being fired for the job that they have and that they need. That's what this question means to me, and I think it's important. I don't want to see people having to make that decision between staying home to care for a sick child or going to work for fear of losing their job. So I do support earned sick time, paid and unpaid, in accordance with the way that the question is drafted. Thank you, Mike.
Donald, this is question number 19. Would you support plans to expand the Little Greater Trash Facility in Saugus, either with a third burner or landfill expansion? Why or why not?
First of all, I would not want the burner to be there. I'm totally against it. And on the expansion of Wheel Grader, I will do whatever the community wishes me to do, because I'm here to represent the community. If the community asks for it not to be expanded, I will vote for it not to be expanded. Again, I'm here representing you, and I'll do whatever the community wants.
Okay, we're going to go now to the questions where each candidate is going to be given an opportunity to respond to them. With this one, we started with Chris first. I'd say we'll start with Donald. Go first on this, and then Chris, maybe we'll alternate questions. Donald goes first for the first one, and then Chris for the next one. Continuing that way till we're done with the 6 questions.
Thank you.
Okay, so Donald, this is question number 5 on the long sheet. With constant pressure to increase revenues, state lawmakers often turn to tax increases that hit small businesses especially hard, such as the health insurance tax and the gas tax. What specific changes could be made to the tax code to keep our small businesses competitive and to allow for growth and expansion?
Thank you for the question. I'm not against the gas tax. I'm against the automatic gas tax that would go up with inflation. The reason I'm against that is because it would hurt the economy and the average working person. I would rather be able to vote for a gas tax or not vote for a gas tax when we need it and when we don't need it. And the reason why I say it's going to hurt the economy of the average person is they thought that the gas tax would hurt the people that drive a lot. But I have to tell you, everything that you buy in stores, or whether it's food or product, is transported by truck. And if it's transported by truck, that means the cost is going to go up. The other thing is I've already done is the IT tax. I repealed it. what the IT tax is, a tax on services of the computers, in which 30 of us at the House voted against it, 130 voted for it, in which in 90 days going across the state and educating people, we had a tax that came off the books, and that's really unheard of. Thank you.
Chris, would you like to hear that question again?
Yeah, please.
Sure. With constant pressure to increase revenues, state lawmakers often turn to tax increases that hit small businesses especially hard, such as the health insurance tax and the gas tax. What specific changes could be made to the tax code to keep our small businesses competitive and allow for growth and expansion?
Well, one thing, and I've already spoken up about my support of the gas tax increase. This is one thing that I truly believe Saugus needs as a town. We have infrastructure problems on Route 1. If we can get state funds to fix those problems, I believe that we're going to see growth in business in this area. I think we're going to see an improved economy. Bigger businesses are going to want to come to Saugus. Right now, we're in a situation where people are avoiding Route 1. That is not good for Saugus businesses. That's a priority of mine. I think we need to find a way to get transportation funds to fix Route 1 so that we can do justice for our businesses that are located there. As far as how we can go about adjusting the tax code, one idea I have that may actually offset some of the negative consequences of this gas tax increase to businesses would be to offer a tax credit incentive for a business to choose to purchase American-made fuel-efficient vehicles. It's something that I've seen in Georgia. They're doing it for individuals there who choose to buy electric vehicles. Ultimately, the program looks something like this. A business is going to be entitled to a credit of up to 20% of the cost of the purchase or lease of an energy-efficient vehicle, up to $5,000 per vehicle. We can also offer businesses a credit of up to 10% of the cost of installing electric vehicle charging stations. This is something that can improve the town as a whole for anyone who's driving energy-efficient vehicles and offer tax credits for businesses to do so. So, encouraging the use of these electric vehicles, smart energy, this is a way that businesses are going to be able to save on the increases from the gas tax while also improving Saugus as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, the next dual question where both candidates get to answer. We'll start with Chris on this one. This is question number 7 on your list. Much of Saugus' economic livelihood and future development opportunities are tied to the Route 1 corridor. What specific steps do you feel could be taken on the state level to solve the traffic issues and improve the appearance and general atmosphere of Route 1 to further economic development and business growth?
Well, a major problem we're having right now is getting funding from the state to improve our infrastructure. Again, I guess I sound like a broken record. I keep answering these questions, but it's an infrastructure issue. We have a bottleneck. We have crumbling roads and crumbling bridges. We have vacancies along Route 1. And somehow now, for the economy of Route 1, someone made the call that it was a good location to put a methadone clinic right in premium business space on Route 1. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to have in the community, but this is a premium commercial space. It's not a sign of good economic growth of Saugus. Now, I'm an elected town meeting member here in Saugus. I serve on our economic development committee. One of the things that we've focused on in the past number of months is improving Route 1. We want to look at zoning. We want to see land use changes. We're looking at all our options, signage changes. We need to know what we can get from the state to help us. We need to be part of the plan that the state has to improve Route 1. Now, I had a debate with Representative Wong earlier this month, and I asked him, I told him, we need state presence at our Economic Development Committee meeting. We need to know what we can get from the state. He didn't show up at that meeting, and I wasn't surprised when I heard fellow town meeting members stand up and say, how can we go forward with zoning changes when we don't even know if the state can provide us some sort of benefit? What is the state going to be able to do for us? As the next state representative, I'll be sure to be involved in that process. I'll find out what we can do for Route 1, and I'll do my best to get us whatever funding we can to improve it. That's how I think we can improve our businesses and our economy here in Saugus. Thank you.
Donald, the same question to you. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Much of Saugus' economic livelihood and future development opportunities are tied to the Route 1 corridor. What specific steps do you feel could be taken on the state level to solve the traffic issues and improve the appearance and general atmosphere of Route 1 to further economic development and business growth?
I have already started working on that, where for many years we have had problems on Route 1 with water main breaks and sewer main breaks. And that's when me and state legislation got together and got $2 million to put in new pipes for water and sewage on Route 1. The other thing that I'm also looking at is the traffic. One solution might be in Peabody. They have a jug handle up there with a set of lights on a state highway. Maybe we can relook at that and see if that's necessary. Because every time you have a red light up there in Peabody, it backs up all the way down to here. You know, these are simple things that we could start working with. And again, working on the state highway, we would like to bring the DOT, Department of Transportation. This is where the town should be bringing in different groups that will have a say in how Route 1 will be set or run. And zoning is a town issue, it's not a state issue, but I'm here willing to work with the town on any zoning issue they have, on exits or entrances. We'll bring in the DOT and we'll work with you. Thank you.
Okay, Donald, the next question is back to you. This would be question number 8 on the list. How has your own experience in small business shaped your view of government and its role in the local economy?
As you know, I'm a restaurant background, my whole family for 3 generations, and the number one thing in restaurant is customer service. Being a state rep, I have made it grow into constituent service, which is much more than, we're here to satisfy you. And as a state rep, we gotta remember what representative means. We represent you. You are our eyes and ears. And we're here to listen to what you have to say, and we'll do everything in our power to help you. But we have to differentiate what is town issues and what is state issues. And then also what is federal issues. And in saying that, being in the restaurant business in three generations, I have built my work ethics. And my parents always told me, do more than what is expected of you. And you can't go wrong. Thank you.
Chris, the same question to you. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
How has your own experience in small business shaped your view of government and its role in the local economy?
Thank you. As many of you know, I am an attorney here in town. I've had the pleasure of representing businesses of all sizes throughout my legal career. I've represented bigger banks in Boston. I've represented mom and pop shops here in Saugus. I've represented local contractors trying to start their businesses. Each business is unique in its own way. We have retail, we have restaurants, we have professional service-oriented businesses. I appreciate Representative Wong's business in the restaurant industry, but there's a lot of concerns out there outside of that industry. I've had the ability to see a lot of concerns of all of our business owners, no matter what industry they're in. And what do I think government's role is to our local economy? I think our state government needs to provide an adequate education so that all of our businesses have well-educated workers. I believe our state government needs to do a better job of providing infrastructure improvements so that our economy is turning around. Businesses want to come to Route 1. They want to open up shop here. There's no reason we don't have a Google on Route 1 or a major technology company. We are not very far away from MIT. There's a lot of qualified individuals, and I think Saugus would be a great opportunity to see tech businesses start opening. But in order to do that, we need to improve our infrastructure. We just haven't been able to do that for as long as I know. I've lived here my whole life. We've had failures year after year at improving our infrastructure. And it's time to have an advocate at the state level who's going to go up there and fight for it. And that's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Okay, the next dual question goes to Chris first. Chris, do you support a hike in the minimum wage? And if so, how would you respond to the concerns of small business owners whose increased labor costs may require them to cut hours or shift responsibilities to salaried employees? And I should say that's question number 14.
So, Representative Wong had an opportunity to vote on an increase in the minimum wage very recently. The minimum wage, which was previously $8, it's now up to $11 over the next few years. Representative Wong voted against that increase in the minimum wage. Now think about that. $8 at a full-time job, 40 hours a week, and I'm talking gross figures here, not net. That's $320 a week. That's $320 a week for our hardworking families and individuals. You can't even afford rent in this area at $320 a week. You certainly can't afford your mortgage payments. You certainly can't afford, on top of those requirements, saving money for your child's education, paying for food, and having some money on the side for entertainment expenses. This was long overdue. It's a reasonable increase that it's been a long time coming. I feel like Representative Wong's vote against increasing to $11 is out of touch with the hard-working families and individuals of our district, because there's no way anyone can survive on that type of funds, particularly in this area. I would have voted differently, and I would have voted to increase that minimum wage. Again, I think Representative Wong is out of touch with our voters in that one, and I would have done it differently. Thank you.
Donald, the same question to you. Would you like me to repeat that?
No, thank you.
Okay.
That law has already been passed, and we have to look at the overall picture and think of the backlash that it might have. We're the second highest minimum wage in the nation right now. So we have to think, how are we gonna bring, if you were a businessman and opening a business, where would you open your business? It's going to be hard for us to bring new business into Massachusetts because of this. And without businesses, we don't have employment. That's going to hurt our economy. The other reason is, if you're a counter help at $8.50 an hour and you go up to 11 or maybe even 15, like some of the people are talking about, and you go up to 15, if you're a short order cook in the back, and you get $15 an hour, it's a domino effect. He's going to say, why should I be working in the kitchen for $15 an hour when the counter help is making $15? Then you have to raise his. It's a domino effect in which what happened to us, the consumer, is going to cost us more. And the one last thing is summer help. Right now at $850, if you had $850, you, at $8.50 an hour, you could hire 10 people for summer help, for the kids. But at $8.50 an hour, at $15 an hour, and you had $850, you could only hire 5 children. And that is hurting the kids that want to make extra money for college or spending. Thank you.
Okay, Donald, the next question goes to you first. That would be question number 16. What specific steps could you personally take to improve relationships and information sharing between your office and local town officials?
Anyone who knows me knows that I have worked very hard with government officials, and with my management skills, I know how to build coalitions where we can work together. I would work with anyone who would want to work with me. You know, it's the quality of life that we have to look in our community, and we all have to work together. No matter where you are, I have an open door policy. I'm here once a month in Town Hall and in Wakefield also, once a month trying to talk to the officials in the town and the residents. And I'll always keep that open door policy. I'm at the State House. You can't get me here once a month. I'm at the State House, and I'm willing to talk to anyone. Come to the State House or call me. I'm here to represent you. Thank you.
Chris, the same question to you. I can repeat it, please. What specific steps could you personally take to improve relationships and information sharing between your office and local town officials?
So, we're all associated in some way here with Saugus in this district, and there is no surprise to anyone in this room when I say that we are a town divided. It is a mess. We are a town divided between the Save the Board of Selectmen and the Save Our Town Saugus, and relationships that Representative Wong has already proven he has a difficult time communicating with our suspended town mayor, not only now, but back in 2012, and it's very public and documented. This is something that's been a problem around Saugus for a long time. I am a fresh face in politics. I haven't burned bridges. I haven't created these disturbances where it's going to affect the way I vote in any way, shape, or form. And I believe that I'm going to be very capable of going to Beacon Hill and working efficiently with whoever is running our local government. The town of Saugus, I've proven that as a town meeting member in Precinct 9. I've passed, and I've already talked about this vacant, dilapidated property bylaw. I worked together with members of our community and the Affordable Housing Trust and passed that unanimously. More recently, at our annual town meeting, I drafted and passed another bylaw. It wasn't unanimous, but it was very close. It was to help, there's a program from the state that our town needed to approve so that Saugus could create a program where our seniors who are living on fixed incomes could volunteer some of their time to this town so they could decrease their property tax, which is an effective way for our seniors to remain independent, live in their houses, and fight back against increasing property taxes. This is something I've been able to work with all the members of our community, and I don't see that changing in any way, shape, or form at the State House. Thank you.
Okay, this question will go to Chris first. It's number 20. And this will be the last question that both candidates respond to, and then we'll go back to the fishbowl. Chris, do you feel the current levels of education funding in the district's communities are fair when compared with other communities?
Absolutely not.
There's a second part to that.
Sorry, I feel strongly about this one.
If not, how would you like to see it changed, and what steps could you take to begin this process?
Sure. Thank you for finishing the question. I think the current education funding formula for specifically here in Saugus is very inadequate. It's inequitable, it's unfair, and it doesn't work. Take, for example, fiscal year 2015, Saugus stands to have about a little over $5 million coming in state aid, Chapter 70, they call it Chapter 70 state aid. A little over $5 million. This takes into consideration what our foundation budget is, which is what we need to operate our schools, and also what we can contribute as a local community. This state aid closes that gap. When I'm looking at both your communities, it's all public information you can find online. Let's take, for example, a community like Belmont. Belmont's going to receive $6 million in local aid. How about Wellesley? They're going to be receiving about $8 million in local aid. Lexington, they're going to be receiving $9.5 million in education funding. Saugus is missing out on a fair share of state funding for education. That's due to an inequitable formula. There's a lot of ideas that we can put forward to fix this formula, but it needs to be overhauled at all aspects of the formula, from the foundation budget to what our local town government can contribute. And increasing this funding for education doesn't just help people like me who have a young son who's going to be attending our school soon. This helps our seniors, because if we have to close the gap in funding because of inadequate state funds, how is our town going to do it? They're going to increase property taxes. That's how our town's going to raise those funds. This is something that helps everyone in our community. It's been a disaster for too long, and it needs to be changed. Thank you.
Donald, asking question number 22.
Okay. Chapter 70 was produced in 1993. This has been here since my opponent has been 4 years old. But nothing has been done until this year when I was at the Ways and Means, and we took action and made a budget study group. This is the first time in that many since it's been started. And this study group is going to be looking at the unfair ways of funding schools to different districts. The other thing is, this school system is the town and the state and federal. But on the town level, I would not have voted to cut $2 million from the Saugus school system operation budget, as my opponent has done, where he has said school is a major thing. But he has voted against $2 million for the Saugus school system operation budget. Thank you.
Okay, that ends the dual portion of the candidates tonight. We'll go to 3 more questions for each candidate out of the fishbowl, and then we'll move to closing statements after that. We'll go back to Donald for the first question. Donald, this is question number 2. What specific ideas do you have to promote job growth in the district and throughout the Commonwealth?
Throughout the Commonwealth, I would like to see a tax incentive for new businesses to come into Massachusetts. With new businesses, we would start up the economy with new jobs. But I would also like to see an incentive for hard-working businesses that are still in Massachusetts and are working very hard to stay in business. The second thing I would like to see is Massachusetts to start bringing in more tourism. As we know, a tourist will spend 5 times what us as residents of Massachusetts will spend. This will bring income and help the businesses that are in Massachusetts, because a tourist will have to find a place to stay overnight, a place to eat, and they will buy gifts, and they will go and look for entertainment. These are things that will make Massachusetts grow. Thank you.
Chris, you have question number 11. Ballot question number 3 would repeal casino gambling in the Commonwealth. Do you support repeal of casino gaming, and why?
I guess this is where I somewhat depart from the party line here for Democrats, but I would vote no on question number 3. I would not support a repeal of casino gambling. Mainly that decision is based on improvements we may see in our economy. Ultimately, I think that's the #1 issue we're going to see around in our district. This casino that's going to be potentially in Everett is going to create a large number of jobs, construction and otherwise, which is going to be a boost to our economy. It's something that we need. But at the same time, we're going to have some negative consequences from that, which I've already somewhat outlined. We're going to see increased traffic on Route 1. There's fear that there may be increased drug use in the area. We need a representative at the State House who's going to stand up and fight for some funding, because we're not a surrounding community of this, and I'm not entirely sure why I feel like we should be. We're definitely going to see a lot of negative consequences from this as well. But we need someone at the state level who's going to fight for the funding to improve, again, our roads, fight for funding for programs for drug addiction, proactively fight against these things, not reactively. And that's what I think I'll do as the next state representative. I'll go up there and I'll fight for those programs, fight for those fundings, for any negative consequences we're going to see. But I would vote no. I do support the casinos in the area. Thank you.
Donald, you have question number 17. Do you support the Partners Healthcare Plan to take acute care services away from Union Hospital and move them to an expanded Salem Hospital? Why is this plan a good or bad move for Saugus?
Again, I want to repeat that I was the first elected official to send a letter to the Attorney General saying that I would like them to rethink this. Union Hospital, we need full service care there. Lynn has 92,000 residents, and Union Hospital is the only full service hospital. But also, Saugus, anyone north of Walnut Street would tend to use Union Hospital. Do we have to go all the way to Salem, like they say? And like the last time we had the debate in Wakefield, you know, to go to Salem on a rainy day, the floods, half the roads are flooded. And, you know, how much is life worth? You know, if you have a heart attack, every second counts. And that's why I say that the Attorney General should relook at this. And since I've got involved, she has put it on the back burner. There won't be anything said about it till November 10th when we're going to have a hearing. And you look at it. Why are they waiting till after an election? We should be getting involved now. I also would like to see the next Attorney General, rather than Republican or Democrat, sign a letter saying that, you know what, we are for full service at Union Hospital. Thank you.
Chris, you have question number 13. In what ways would you ensure that taxpayer money is being spent wisely and not wasted? Are there specific areas of waste you have been able to identify? And if so, how would you deal with those areas?
Thank you for the question. There's two things that stick out to me in my mind. One relates to criminal justice reform. We spend a lot of money in our criminal justice system, rightfully so, but a lot of these criminals, we're spending good taxpayer money on housing and houses and correction. Their crimes are that of drug use. They're nonviolent criminals who have drug addiction problems. We're spending a lot of taxpayer money housing them in our houses and corrections, and it's not fixing the problem. I think what we need to do is invest more in treating the actual problem, which is the addiction. If we can get state funds to treat these addictions, for example, the opiate crisis we're facing here in Saugus, in the state as a whole, if we're able to fight back against that, I believe we're going to be able to relieve funds from the criminal justice system that may be able to be used elsewhere. Additionally, welfare abuse is a problem, welfare fraud specifically. I believe that it's a combination of issues between these individuals using the state benefit wrongfully to get things like alcohol, tobacco, lottery tickets. These are things that these funds weren't intended for. But there's also some blame on these convenience stores that are allowing them to use their EBT cards to get these items. I think there is a possible solution in a program that gives the state the ability to revoke their right to sell tobacco products, alcohol products, or lottery products in the event they're perpetuating this welfare fraud. These are some areas where I think we can do a little bit better as a state, things that I would address as the next state representative. Thank you.
Last two questions out of the fishbowl. First one goes to Donald. This is question number 1. What would your top 3 legislative priorities be in the new term?
My top ones would be local aid. Local aid for schools, seniors, and veterans. The other thing I would look at is Chapter 90, the funding for our roads. And unrestricted local aid so that the districts and towns and cities can decide and prioritize where the money should go. And the last thing that I would really look at is, I don't agree with my opponent where he thinks that illegal aliens should have driver's licenses. At the last week debate, he said that it would be great so they can drive better. I say this is just the tip of the iceberg. If illegals have driver's license, this would hurt because they would be getting EBT cards that he says he's against. And a lot of the aids that the state gives. And because of this, in In 2016, our driver's license, we're one of 11 states that the driver's license will not be able to be used at airports because we have illegals with driver's license. We have kids going to college. Do they need a passport now to go to another state? Do I need a passport to go see my son in California after 2016 if illegals keep having driver's license? Thank you.
Chris, in 1996, the Saugus school system was ranked among the top 100 according to U.S. News and World Report. How do you envision the role of the state representative in bringing local public education level back to this level? And that's question 21.
Thank you. Well, actually around that time, I was a little older than 4 years old, despite what Representative Wong said. But at the time, I was attending our public school system, and it was a great education. I couldn't go where I am here today without Saugus Public Schools. I have an issue with how Saugus has been funded recently. As Representative Wong stated, Chapter 70 funding formula is based on guidelines essentially created in 1993. There's a lot of things that have changed since 1993. Many homes may not have even had a computer back in 1993, and now most of us have many computers in our pockets, our cell phones. Our students need to be learning the latest technology. This funding formula does not take that into account. It's a terribly outdated formula that's inequitable specifically for a town like Saugus. That's why I think we need to change that formula. Thank you.
Before we go to the closing statements, there's two candidate-specific questions that are also on the list of the candidates, and we'll start with Donald. This is question number 3. Donald, what 2 accomplishments are you most proud of from your last term as state representative?
I'm very proud that we have worked to fix Route 1, the water and sewage, and that has helped tremendously with the traffic on Route 1, where for years, with water main breaks, we had backed up all the way past Revere, and that's not only the traffic on Route 1, that made people go on side streets in Saugus, which was not good for the quality of life for people that live in Saugus. The other thing that I'm very proud of is working with the town manager in Wakefield. And when he said that he needed $1 million to fix Main Street, you know, we're working and we have almost $1 million, $985,000 going toward Wakefield for Main Street. Thank you.
Okay, and the last question to a candidate will go to Chris. Chris, question number 4. What 2 areas do you feel are being neglected by the current state delegation, and what specific ideas do you have to address these issues in your first term, if elected?
Well, the main thing I'll address first is of course, education. And Representative Wong indicated that one of his priorities is going to be local aid, increasing funding. Well, that's funny because it sounds very similar to the same arguments he made to all of us 4 years ago. We haven't seen results. We haven't seen action. That's my issue with education. Now, we've had, and you know, discuss a review commission that's been put in place recently, which is great. But that commission's been required since 1993. Originally, it was required to meet every 4 years. It wasn't done. Later on, it was changed to meet every 2 years. Again, that wasn't done. It only happened twice since 1993. That's a failure of our state delegation. And 4 years ago, and I appreciate Representative Wong's statement that he wants to fight for more local aid, but I've heard it before. Actions speak louder than words. I intend to act as the next state representative to increase education funding. Additionally, I think our state delegation could do a better job for providing services and benefits for veterans of our armed services. Right now, we have a homeless issue where there is a disproportionate number of homeless military veterans. We need to do more to address that problem. There's long wait times for our veterans to get mental health care, surgeries, and they need treatment for the disabilities that they've suffered serving our country. Now, not many people know, I'm proud to say, my father's a United States Marine, my brother, oldest brother is a United States Marine, and my other brother was honorably discharged from the Army due to injuries he suffered during times of war. I, unfortunately, did not serve my country in the armed forces, but I was raised by men who did, and I think it's time our state get it together and take care of our veterans. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the question portion of this candidate's night. Each candidate will now have 3 minutes to address the audience with a closing statement. And I think we will just go back to Donald. You can go first, and then Chris, as soon as Donald's done.
Again, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Gaffney, and the viewers. Tonight's forum has made it obvious that there are stark differences between my opponent and I. Please keep in mind, a vote for my opponent is a vote for automatic gas tax based on inflation. A vote for my opponent is a vote for illegal immigrants who have driver's licenses. A vote for my opponent is a burden to small business owners and the consumers. A vote for my opponent will cost families more. These differences are substantial and striking. The strong implication for the future of our district and our Commonwealth. Here's a recap. We secured $2 million for the water and sewage on Route 1. Funding for early education. Funding for new classes on robotics. Funding for the repair and renovation of the Saugus tennis court. Funding to rehab Saugus Middle School. I am in the process of securing $985,000, $985,000, $15,000 short of $1 million for Main Street in Wakefield. And I'm working to keep full service at Union Hospital. I have proven that not just by numbers, but by hard work, 30 against 130 to repeal the IT tax. I have worked hard to represent you with 100% attendance. Attendance where we vote on things across the state. I am equally proud to say I have worked with my fellow legislators in the House, Senate, and many local and statewide issues, many of which affect the district as well as the entire Commonwealth. I wish and thank everyone for their support, and I want to thank the endorsement of the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts, also the Northern New England Labor District Council. Do not let the misinformation put in front of you. And I hope that you will vote for me on November 4th. We have to work together as a local community, as a state, and federal. By working together, this is how we're going to get things done. And I thank you very much for being here.
Chris, your turn.
Well, first, Mike, thank you for moderating this event. I'd also like to thank Representative Wong for participating in this debate. I'd like to thank the members of the community who came here tonight who are watching at home, including a number of elected officials from our town meeting, our Board of Selectmen. I appreciate you all coming out here and listening to me here tonight. Now, I've outlined a number of my concerns and what I hope to do as your next state representative. I hope that we can increase funding for our town through changing the formula. And I didn't get to address a number of questions that I had some prepared answers for, but I do support, of course, earned sick time, which I discussed. I support equal pay for equal work for women right now. That's a major concern. Right now, women in 2014 are still earning 77 cents on every dollar. And I think it's important to invest in green technology in our environment. Teddy Roosevelt once spoke about a man in the arena who spends himself on a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. I want my next state representative to be that man in the arena. I'm not going to say I'm going to be a perfect state rep. I'm not going to say I'm going to be able to get everything accomplished that I've outlined here tonight that I hope to accomplish as your next state representative, but I will fight that fight. I will advocate for our district. If given the opportunity with your vote on November 4th, I'm going to go to Beacon Hill and I'm going to fight for equal pay for women for equal work. I'm going to fight for earned sick time for our employees. And I'm going to fight to improve funding for our education, particularly because it's so inequitable for our district. I'm going to fight for a better Saugus. And I hope with your vote on November 4th, I'll have that opportunity. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, well, that pretty much concludes our candidates night. I just want to thank both of the candidates for coming out tonight and engaging in a spirited exchange of ideas, and also to thank the Saugus Chamber of Commerce for stepping up to hold this forum. I've been covering this town for 10 years, and I know there have been some years in election cycles where no group has stepped up, so this really does fill a public service, and I hope everyone watching at home in the audience hears what the candidates have to say and are more informed on November 4th when they do head to the polls. And with that, I'll turn it over to John for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Mike. Before I bring it to a close, excuse me, I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate and commend both of you, Chris and Donald. I know you both personally. You're both good friends of mine, and I know you from different venues, but I think you both handled yourself extremely well tonight. I think you both presented your views very clearly, and I think you did it in a fashion that makes it easier for people to get an idea of where you stand on the different positions you've taken, whether you agree or disagree. I think you presented it in a very great fashion tonight, in a very gentlemanly fashion, and I commend and compliment both of you very much for your job well done. Mike, I'd like to thank you for handling the chores for us. You did a difficult task, but you made it look easy. I want to thank you for that. I'd like to thank all of you in the audience and all of you at home that took the time to come out and show you have an interest in your community and the town and where it's going in the future. So on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Saugus Chamber of Commerce, our members, and the citizens of Saugus that we work with every single day, I'd like to thank you all. Thank you both, Mike, and bring this meeting to a close. Thank you very much.